something like that. Someday in February, obviously, you can tell. We're in northern Michigan, and man, I haven't streamed in a while. It's been a minute, so it's good to be back on here. I've been so sick. I left for some work in Maine with my client, and then I got the flu, and I was down for like 10 days with that. It's really bad. So I'm finally back upright again. So back out here again. We're gonna be in the greenhouse in a second. I got to take care of some stuff with the chicks here. They're well, as you can see, their coop is a little bit covered, and but I also gotta clean out their bedding. They're due for a bedding refresh. So let me get this. I forgot my shovel, so I can clear off the top here. But it's good to have everybody out here. For those that don't know, my name is Ryan. I come here live on YouTube pretty consistently, in the greenhouse, out here in the garden, just in the yard doing stuff, staying on top of things. But you can see we've been getting tons of snow. We're fine. I think we're kind of on the back end of this now, so we're going to start getting closer and closer to some warm-ups here. But like I was saying, I gotta get this squared away, and then for the girls, get all this snow off here, because we're going to start getting warmer days here with some sunshine. So I want to get the snow off here so they can start warming up a little bit. But they got to get their bedding's got to get replaced. I think it's okay for right now, but it's getting to be towards the bad side, I think. So just want to clear that out for them. But again, good to have everybody on here, man. I tell you, it was a rough last 2 weeks. I was so sick with the flu, just miserable. And it wasn't man flu, before anyone says that. It was flu. I could barely breathe. Like, it was rough. So good to be on the other side of that now. But anyway, we're all here. Just got to clean out this. We're gonna get in the greenhouse here in a little bit, but I got to take care of the girls first. They need their bedding replaced. So, we're up here in northern Michigan, and I'll tell you, we've actually had a Michigan winter, like a West Michigan winter, for quite some time here. We haven't had one in a very long time here, and it is no joke been winter this year. I think we're going to end up with over 110 inches of snow, more than likely. I think that's where we're going to end up landing at. So with that, again, part of the deal when you have chickens is that, especially wintertime, you got to change out their bedding pretty consistently. They are, they're stuck inside here. The vents aren't open, so they get an awful lot of, they start getting that ammonia build up. I clean it out, I clean out and pull out as much as, obviously, or waste as I can. But, there's only so much they can do. They're spending more time in here, right, because it's darker out. So they spend more time in the coop here. And without having the airflow, because you got to kind of keep it sealed off so that they stay, mostly warm. They're good down to about 15 degrees. I have a little brooder heater. It's just on the side here, keeps it, right around 25 to 30 degrees for them. But, you've got to constantly clean this out, because they're going to end up having all that ammonia in there, which, obviously it burns their lungs and causes stress and all the problems. So got to stay on top of it. Like I said, I have, so I've been out here cleaning it when I could, but I was sick. But, it's just one of those things, like, it's just due for a good cleaning like this. So, but they've been doing okay. They've been living their best life in the run here, staying warm, doing their stuff. They're bored beyond all belief. The chickens, they're used to running around and running amok, and there's just nothing to do. We've got, like I said, north of 100 inches of snow so far this year. So, hey Brittany, how's it going? So like I say, we're over 100 inches of snow this year, and like I say, it's about 2 feet of snowpack right now. And we're in West Michigan and northern Michigan, so we're not even like in the Upper Peninsula. So it's been pretty significant. Basically, and right now it's even snowing a little bit. We got little flurries going on right now. Anytime that wind blows, it is a thing. So, but with this, part of the reason I have the chickens, they're inside my garden here. They're going to move into the backyard here next year. But for this year, I want to hear. But a big reason I have the chickens is because, for the fertilizer. And so like right here is where my garden's at. That's why anytime the wood chips come out, they just get tossed out here in the garden. Wherever they happen to land, they're good. And it's just gonna be good fertilizer, obviously, and some mulch to help out the garden. You know, it's good organic matter. It's all the good stuff. But, you know, part of the deal is, you know, we got the girls here. They can't really do much this time of year because they're stuck. You know, they got a decent sized run, which I've got, you can see blocked off here. This will be coming down as far as the plywood. This will be coming down, I would say, probably in a couple weeks. I'll still have the weed. I have weed barrier that's around there to kind of help with the wind a little bit, but you know, they're fine. We're going to be up starting heavy days. They're going to be above freezing and then freezing nights again here very soon. We're pretty much there, to be quite honest. So, all right, let me get this guy. There, just need to be able to open this door up. But again, we're gonna be in the greenhouse here in a second, folks. I just need to kind of get rolling here with this. This is something obviously I want to make sure I'm taking care of, because I don't know about you, but nobody wants to really, you know, you don't want to be living in filth. And you know, the girls deserve better than that. So we're just gonna work on cleaning this out. Now I'm building a brand new coop this spring. I've already got the drawings, I've got the designs, and it's gonna be a big one for be able to walk in, so it'll be easier for for cleaning and everything. So it's going to be good. But you know, for right now, you know, with just a few chicks that I have, you know, I've only lost one chicken this year, which has been good. So been good. And now they're obviously, you know, things keep in mind here, folks. Like, you know, you ask, like, okay, what's it like having chickens in the winter? You know, you feel bad for them. They're bored. Egg production disappears, right? They're not out as much. There isn't as much sunlight. You know, they need light in order to produce eggs, especially here. You know, we get our days here when we're in this during the winter, where, you know, we're talking sun comes up at 8:30 and it sets at 3:30. That's not a lot of sunlight, you know, for them to be able to kind of do their thing. You know what I mean? So just kind of do their best. But well, hopefully everybody's doing well. Again, one of the things when you hop in the chat, let us know where you're from. We have people from all over ends up on the stream. If this is your first time coming through here, welcome. Again, I'm live all the time. Been a couple weeks since I've been on. Like I said, I was pretty sick. I got a pretty bad flu that really just knocked me on my rear. But we're, for the most part, past that now. You know, I think it's like with any flu, or, you know, gonna have residual cough for a while as the system, you know, still keeping the defenses up until it feels, you know, fully good. But yeah, welcome again. Part of what we do here on the channel is you guys just kind of hang out with me as I'm working on my homestead here in Michigan. We're just gonna catch up with each other, see how things are going. But yeah, the biggest thing here this winter for the girls has just been kind of making sure that their coop and their bedding stays good, because it will, like I said, it'll get gross in a hurry because they're living up here, you know. But you know, their egg production has obviously just stopped. I might get 2 eggs a week max, and if I'm not out here checking, they're gonna freeze. You know, and that's to be understood. That's what's going to happen. Okay, so again, for the bedding that we put in here, folks, this is again, I just go to Tractor Supply Company. You know, I just get the wood shavings that they have here. They work really well. They're good. They absorb. Plus, they break down. Like, that's the other side of it. They're good. They're good mulch in the garden, and they don't have. You know, I don't want to have anything that's like really too cedar-ish. I don't know if that's the right way to say it or not. I want it to be kind of a neutral smell, just because, you know, I don't, you know, you'll see some of the pine shavings you'll get, they'll be really that cedar smell, and that's not good for the chicks either. You know, they're just trying to, they want neutral. I ain't trying to cover up smells. I'm trying to give them a place to stay warm. So, but this stuff is pretty inexpensive. Like I said, it's good. It's good mulch in the garden too. That's what I like about it. And I'll use pretty much this entire thing in here, and any extra that I happen to have in here, which doesn't really usually be a thing, will end up in the run. I'll just toss it in there, and they like to stomp around on it, and you know, it's fresh for them. It's good on their feet. So, anyways, I like to fill this thing nice up all the way up to the gills here, all the way to the top. They'll come in and smush it down, and it. Oops. Oh, this snow is so deep, guys. All right, on this side, basically just dump in as much as I can and use it to pull it over there. So, hey, what's happening there? Yeah, I'll check your comments out in a second. I can't see them from here. But anyways, we're going to load this up and you want to have this nice and thick. So what ends up happening is that it's going to compress back down, but it's also good insulation for them, keep it nice and warm. But the other side is I really want to fill this up good because, you know, we're still a few months away from being able to have this open for them and everything like that. So, you know, it's good stuff. But anyways, we'll be in the greenhouse here in a second. I got to walk you guys through some of the stuff that I had going on. Had some adventures, to say the least, while I got sick. Had a little bit of a catastrophe with. There we go, nice and full in here. There we go, nice and full. It's probably saying it's packed to the gills here. So we'll go check in on the chicks here. I had a little bit of an incident with my greenhouse here. Had a power thing, so I lost some of my vegetables. Not all of them. My winterish ones, you know, my lettuce, Swiss chard, and all them, they did really well. So I was hopping the coop here. You guys can see the girls. They're just like, oh man, Ryan's at it again, dropping more stuff off for us. But here we go. Hey girls. So I have a little bit of over here you can see I actually have a tiny little bit, you know, I have my warmer over here, my heater. So this is secured a couple different ways, and it's one of the things just be careful with. Obviously it's a fire danger, but it's secured on a post, a cord, and I actually have it on a like a metal cord as well too, just to make sure that if one of them fails, the other two will be there, etc. So top tip, if you're getting chickens, what you want to do whenever you get them, right, is when you get the bedding, just put a little seed on top of there, and they'll come in and just scratch that up and spread it around for you. Nice and easy. But you see, I also got like a seed block for them here so they can munch on. They've got their little roost to hang out in, so they're doing okay. Like I said, though, it's been a rough winter out here. You guys can just see we've got a ton of snow. Over here you can see we got the greenhouse. We're heading in there right now. Got the heater running on that guy, so there's 50 in there right now. It was 54 when I came out here earlier, so hopefully we're somewhere around there. All right, let's get in. Sorry, doing it live here, folks. Ooh, that feels better. Oh man, is that ever nice. All right, so we're gonna swap around here and get going. Okay, here we go, folks, in the greenhouse, living our best lives. Ooh, all right. So let me go ahead and pull up my other phone here so I can stay on top of comments from y'all. Be able to lose this thing. It is currently 60 in here. Double check that. Hold on. Videos, live. I'm just trying to see. There we go. Got us up and running here, folks. There we go. Oh, hey, Marshall. Just saw you pop up there. I'm in northern Michigan. So I live right about here. It's near a town called Ludington. Whew, like I was saying, it's chilly today. I think it's 20. It's not, I mean, I hate to say it, it's not terrible out. It's 24. We've been living around 0 and 5 degrees for the last insert how long, I don't even know. It's been forever. So it's nice to have this changed out. I'm going to actually put my heater on one more notch here, really crank her up. Okay. Okay. Whew. Man. So again, do me a favor, folks, when you hop in here, hop in the chat, let us know where you're from. Again, I'm up here in Northern Michigan. My name's Ryan. In here in the greenhouse, out in the garden, pretty consistently. Man, starting now until, I mean, I've been in here, you know, all winter so far, but now we're really going to start getting into the heat of things to get ready for spring. So we're going to go over some of the damage that I had happen because of my the power issue we had. So you know, what happened to some of my plants, got to replant some stuff, didn't make it. Some of the stuff did just fine. And you're in Florida. Okay, so you don't have to deal with the weather I'm dealing with. Good for you. Congratulations. Man, that's good. So yeah, it was like I say, when I was gone I was out for 2 weeks, you know, 2 weeks. I got out kind of be able to take care of the chickens, and I kind of was able to poke my head in the greenhouse every now and again, and I did. And I think it was 3 days where I couldn't get out here, and we ended up having like a power issue that caused, and I didn't notice, I didn't see, but temperatures plummeted in here for, I don't know, again, I'm assuming for, you know, it wasn't too long per se, because we're going to show you, and it's part of the reason why why it's important to just, you know, make sure you understand what you're growing, when you're growing, like the season for it and everything, because you know, stuff happens, right? I mean, it's really just what happened here. I had an incident where the weather went crap, and some of my stuff didn't do well. Like again, my onions here, you can see they just had a bad day. Some of them are okay, some are going to make it, but a lot of them didn't. So we're going to work on kind of repairing these and keeping an eye on them. You know, help to recover. But then you get to our other spots here, like here, and I'm excited about these because these are our brassicas and our. And we'll give you guys a better look. I want to see how if you guys are close enough to really be able to see this good enough. It's always kind of a question here. Okay, yeah, I think you guys are in a good spot here. So, but these were all crunchy. Like I came into this and this was all crunch. They were frozen and doing the thing, and you can see they're doing just fine now. And you have stuff like this, which is, again, you've got this, which is kale, right? It's a brassica. It's in, you know, it's in the families of your Brussels sprouts, your broccoli, your cauliflower, your kohlrabi. Those are this here. And then we've got, you know, just butter lettuce here. That's doing real well. Then I've got, but here, this is the ones I'm excited for, right here. One of my favorite spring vegetables, Swiss chard. This stuff is doing so good here. But again, they were all crunchy, and that's part, and you can see on this one in particular, and you can see on that one leaf right there, it's got that that spotting on it, and that's from the frost, like when it froze. These were, like I said, they were froze pretty darn solid when I got in here. But again, when it comes to our, you know, the cold weather plants that I'm growing in here, you know, they're usually okay with that. I'm going to show you some of my onions that I have over here that are, let me get this guys out of here. I'm going to show you though, we had some of my onions, like right here, that are more mature. Like again, they survive the cold just fine. You can see they look perfectly fine. They're living their best lives. And these guys are going to be going into my, these are for most of my Asian cooking. Like these are simply just the, just, you know, again, scallions where they're at. So they're just kind of growing along, doing their thing, right? And then you have others that, you know, didn't do so well. And case in point with that, I got some of my, like my basils did not do well. I'm going to try transplanting a couple to see how they do. But for the most part, I think they're pretty much done. Now we take a look at some of our other veggies that we have going here. What part of the, I am in Northern Michigan. That's where I'm at. Welcome. We're Las Plantas Verdes. Where are you at? And you can see here again, but the other ones, right? Because everybody got cold. They shrunk a little bit, and they're going to be midget for a while, but they're getting their stuff together, and they're going to end up being just fine, right? Some of the beets and whatnot, so they're doing good. But yeah, welcome everybody. Good to have you on here. We are kind of we're going to have to redo some planting and some stuff here. I gotta have a few sacrificial stuff I got to clear out. I'm going to replant. I'm going to transplant a couple. Like I've got a couple beets that didn't really hold up too well. that are going to get transplanted today. Today's kind of a cleanup, kind of a catch up stream more than anything. But we're gonna take a look at a few things and really kind of start setting the stage for what we have going on in the coming months because, like I said, it is that time of year. We are going to be, man, we're gonna be busy, super busy. But in the greenhouse here, to give people a little bit of idea what's going on with the greenhouse here. So this greenhouse is 6 by 6 by 7, and it is insulated on basically 3 sides plus this end over here. For now, there's snow stacked up here. That's why I have this insulation. There isn't like literally light that can get through here too well. But these will be coming out and they're gonna move over here. Probably I would say in 3 or 4 weeks, because the snow isn't gonna be an issue. It's just gonna be cold, right? We won't get as much snow stacking up to get more light pouring in here. So yeah, we start an awful lot of stuff here. I do a lot of vegetables. I have flowers. We have a whole thing that we get going on. So anyways, that's where we're at. But I do want to show you guys, we do have some great germination going on right now. Everybody's kind of catching up, and it's going to be different ways that they're doing it. But for our different lettuces, we started a bunch of different lettuces throughout here, some romaine, some different styles, specifically just to make sure, because this style right here, none of these can be started over a warming mat, right? So typically, a lot of the stuff we're going to be starting in, April timeframe, we're going to have we'll have warming mats underneath them, just like right here, that you need to have. So when we look at our seeds, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, I use the Organo Republic, this pack that they have here. It tells you the temperature that the seeds need to be at in order to germinate, and most seeds need to be over 70 degrees to germinate. However, there's a lot of lettuces like these here, romaine styles, are definitely those. They do not, excuse me, I still got my cold a little bit. They will not germinate over 68 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever that is in European units or whatever the Celsius is. So these have just been sitting down here, and it stays 42 degrees, obviously, except when it's freezing in here. So this is one of those instances where we had these were here specifically to make sure that just to sit and germinate, and they've gotten here. So we're going to trim these up real quick. I want to kind of thin this section right out here. It's kind of important to me to make sure that's thinned out. There they are. So I had my pack here kind of fall apart. So with this Organo Republic, by the way, this seed pack, it's 55 of like their top seeds that they have in here. A big fan of them. I get this every year. Again, not sponsored for Organo Republic at all, but they do a really good job with their seeds. And we'll look at some of them here. They do a really good job as far as one, they germinate well, but two, they're very instructional on exactly how to do that. They come with growing guides, with recipe guides, all the good stuff. So lots of goodness there. Now, with that though, got these started, and they specifically have on there QR codes and things to really help with the growing guide. But for these here, they definitely said, hey, this stuff has to germinate under 70 degrees, under 68 actually, to be specific. So what we do here, and they come with this cool toolkit, right? And with this, they come with this here, which I really like, which are just these neat little shears that you can come in and helps you, basically trim these folks down so you don't have all this competition going on, which is not what you want for your seedlings. You want to get it down, basically get them in here, get them started, get it to 1. And then as they get into their first real leaves come out, then we're going to be transplanting them out. Okay. I'm excited this year too, because I've got a new polytunnel, it's 10 foot by 20 foot by 9 foot. Nice big old polytunnel we're going to put in the garden for springtime here. We'll roll it up during the summer, roll up the sides during the summer, but still have it to kind of protect so that, still getting sun in there, but not too much heat there. So, but a cold wave. I love that on there. That's too funny, Marshall. I missed that. Your little note about the cold wave here. Yeah, I did see that. Y'all have been suffering. Thoughts and prayers for you. Thoughts and prayers. So we got that, and I have the smaller tunnels that I'm going to use for other things I'm starting now. With this, a lot of the stuff that I grow is, it's for the family here. It's, for my wife and I, and then my mom. She lives here. She lives around the corner, so she comes up and grabs stuff too. But I also have come on, Ryan, use your words. a vegetable stand, which I'll do flowers this year, but is in it as well. But I have a vegetable stand that is donation only for my neighbors to come and grab stuff. I have a lot of seasoned citizens around here that they have a hard time getting out and want. I'm not in the most wealthy part of Michigan either, so it's pretty rural. And yeah, and that's good stuff. Trust me, there's day like today's one of those days where I wish I was in Florida. It's just not even fun out right now. But whereas I've got a lot of the seasoned citizens that are around my area, they just can't. They're on pensions. They've got to manage their funds appropriately. So if I can get them some calories, some good produce, right, for cheap or for free. A lot of them they don't even pay. They just come up and grab stuff. That's fine. That's what it's there for. I want to get good fresh produce in front of people. I'm not concerned if they are, obviously donations are helpful, helps with the seed fund, but it's okay. I do okay. I do okay for business. I'm a business coach by trade and fractional chief operating officer for a law firm out of Maine. So I do okay. So I do this for fun on the side. Like, I do a lot of this out here, but it's enjoyable to come out because I like to learn so much from folks, as well. So if you haven't been here before, definitely listen. By the way, anybody's watching right now, if you could hit that thumbs up button, I would appreciate it. It helps push it out to the algorithm so I get more folks in here. So any help with that would be appreciated. And hopefully I earn your subscription today. Anything you can do to help and get this out, I definitely appreciate it. On the wide world. And earlier you saw we were taking care of my chickens. I've got, I say I've lost one. I lost Betty White. She was my silky. I came out and she was just dead one day. It happens with chickens. But we're gonna be building out the coop is gonna be about this length. The coop plus the run is gonna be pretty lengthy, and it's gonna be definitely for caring and sharing. 100%. Yeah, no, absolutely. Stuff we want to be able to do is give if we can't give back. But anyways, we're gonna be building out on that coop, and I'm excited. I'll be doing that build on stream, so you guys will watch me mess up stuff in real time for that build. But again, that's the type of stuff I like to do. Just when I'm out working, come hang out with y'all. I was gonna do some clearing of my my roof. I've got snow stacked up there, but we're gonna get a melt coming in like 2 days, so that stuff's all gonna come off. I'm just gonna save myself a little energy. Although it is fun. I've got that avalanche roof rake system that it's got little wheels on the side and a little cutter, and it's got a tarp that comes out the back. So you're just cutting off and it's just sliding right down like a slip and slide. It's pretty cool. I was when I first saw him, I was like, man, there's no way it works like that well. And it works even better than I expected. I was kind of blown away to be quite honest. So all right, so I got most of these trimmed out here. Like I said, we're just trying to excuse me, thin these back some. So I don't really want a lot of competition going here for this space. But cool. All right, so again, these are different lettuces, just like I have with my lettuces here. Like I was saying, they're different versions of these lettuce, but like I say, this is Swiss chard. It's doing its thing over here, living its best life. And this will end up moving. I'm gonna have this kind of grow out and just kind of keep it there. Swiss chard is one of my favorites. If you guys haven't grown it before, I highly recommend it. Once you get it started, it's very similar to a rhubarb is kind of how it looks, right? And I would definitely recommend. It's one of those things if you haven't had it or haven't been around it or whatever, give it a try. I think you'll really like it. It's good in like everything. It's a really I want to say here. What is it? What's the phrase I want to say here, guys? It's not that it's peppery. What's the one I say here? It holds up really well. It's like a spinach. Like it's got a lot of texture to it. There's crunch in it in the stem, just like the rhubarb per se, but you can eat the whole thing. The whole thing is edible. I throw it in. I make a lot of ramen. I do a lot of soups. I do a lot of, I'll throw it in just as a green for, saute it up with some butter, onions, garlic, all the, whatever stuff there. It's really, really good for that stuff. So it's a very versatile. I think that's what I want to say. Let's go with versatile. Let's do that. Yeah, versatile. Let's do that. So here's my onions. We're gonna get these guys, and these poor guys. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna try to save these, do what I can, but I'm not. To be honest, I'm not holding out a lot of hope on this batch. what I can get. A lot of times when they get burnt like this and, they run into these troubles, right? You can just see here. I'll give you guys a look here, right? Not looking too healthy here. But a lot of these I should be able to save. And let me look at a couple of these here. Just dig them out. Let me get in here real quick and just take a look. Okay, so what I'm looking for here, like this one I won't be able to salvage, but I'm looking to see how that root structure looks. Because if the root structure looks okay on these, I'll be able to kind of pick these out and save them into another spot to give them a chance. Because these are, excuse me, these are my short day onions. I may actually just no, we're gonna keep these going. We're gonna save these. These guys did their part. I just, I came up short, unfortunately, for them. But let me do one thing over here because I want to get my light on this here. Where is that at? No, here it is. So I gotta move my lights from here over because I want to give these guys a lot of juice here. So I've got my lights, my artificial lights kind of strung across the top here. I have some more along the bottom. I have some other lights that I place on top of here. But these guys are in a spot now that they don't necessarily need as much light on them per se. While they're growing, they can, once I transplant these, they can just kind of hang out where they're at and they'll be fine. But this lighting section that I have over here is one of my favorites. These guys are actually pretty good. They're meant to be in a greenhouse. They're designed to, pretty, they're pretty easy to work with. They've got, they're forgiving. Plus they're not waterproof, but they hold up in the water. Okay. And that's kind of, as you're spraying stuff around, that's one of the things that we just got to kind of be wary of, for all the reasons, right? Water and electricity. These are LED lights. I got them off of Amazon, and there you go. There you go, guys. Get you some light. Perfect. Okay. But so anyways, where are we at? All right, let's do some transplanting here. Today's going to be one of those days where I'm just kind of figuring this out as I go along, guys, because it is a day. What we're going to do here, a little different. Okay. So I keep a portion of this this greenhouse. I actually have a blue tarp. You can't see it over here. And I actually string it right across here, and I only heat this section during, we've got the sun wants to come out, it looks like. Oh man, I hope so. Warm up in here nicely. So I run this across and I just heat this section and keep this, say, in 42 degrees during the, pretty much at all times. And then during the day, it'll warm up into 60, 70, 80 in here, depending. So, but, this was over on the other side. And just to show you how well that tarp works for the cold, we've got ice that's there that kind of been building up. So, okay, so we're going to be transplanting these onions over here. I just kind of want to move them, get them in some fresh stuff. And they're at a point where they can be transplanted. I liked what their leaves look like. I wasn't too concerned, how they looked. So I'll get you over there. Oh yeah, that sun wants to come out. I can just feel it. We're at the point too, folks, where it is definitely that time of year where, we're mere moments away from it being good stuff around here. So let me get this and start breaking stuff up here. Okay, so again, welcome everybody who's coming in here. My name's Ryan. I'm here in my greenhouse in northern Michigan, and we are currently trying to basically save my onions that I have started here mode. They are kind of in a rough spot here because of I was out sick, and we want to just save the ones that we can. The ones that we can't, I might as well move this over here because there's going to be a bunch. The ones that we can't save, pop them over here, and they'll end up going to my my chickens. They'll take whatever greens they can get this time of year. They do not mind. So, and I think I'm going to start another tray of onions too. I do like to have a lot of onions going. They're just good to have around. Let's get this set right here. They're good just to have around. And they're pretty, they're used to being manhandled a little bit. They don't mind being moved around and dealt with. They do just fine. I'll transplant and replant onions a couple times if I have to. But we want to get the ones that are no good out. And part of that is once you start having die-offs in plants, they kind of spread. So you just kind of want to make sure that you don't have any of that gross. What's going on there? Sorry, I had a little power thing go on. And good? Okay. All right. That was weird. Oh, hey, thank you for the medal. Appreciate that. But so part of the deal is you want to, anytime you got the stuff that's dying out, you want to make sure that you just kind of clear them out. Unhealthy stuff, you just don't want it in the mix. So let's talk about things I'm looking at when I'm looking at these. So one of the things keep in mind also with your onions, all right, is that they're fine with being transplanted. You can see it's got that big old taproot on there. So that's good. That's nice and healthy. All right. So these guys are in here just kind of getting started doing their thing. And what you don't have to worry about with onions, and it's the important thing is when you have them all in here, they do just fine. They don't really, you can have them all crammed in together. It's not going to hurt them in the slightest. So you can pile them into a spot. It's not going to issue. Once I move them out into the garden, that's when I'll be worried about my spacing, right? Because you want the bulbs plenty of room to grow and expand. You don't want to have them crunched there. But when they're starting like this, you can just kind of load them up into a space and just kind of go nuts. It ain't going to hurt them at all. Like I said, because we're going to be retransplanting these again outside in another spot. And I think we're going to start some more onions too, as well. Because I do like to have onions going. And a lot of it's simply just because, man, I love to be able to come out and just get fresh onion greens, basically just knock the tops off and throw them in. I do a lot of Asian cooking, so it's good to have, it's better to have scallions, but onion greens are just as delicious. So, no worries there. But again, man, I'll tell you, it feels so good, guys, to be back up. I was so sick. I don't know if any of y'all got the flu this year or not. It's been a while since I've been that sick though. I mean, I was more horizontal than vertical, and I have not been that way in a long time. It was pretty rough out there. I do not want to have that experience again. And, I was kind of spoiled when I was in the military. I was in the Air Force for a little over 20 years, almost 21. And because, everybody in the military, they get the flu shots every year. We have all the immunizations. So you end up in this bubble of people, and we all work out every day. We eat, I'm gonna say we all eat healthy, but we all work out all the time, right? So you got this overly healthy population that's fully immunized. So you got this like little bubble of where the flu can't even get set up shop, right? It just can't even get in there. And then I get around, you know, back in the civilian population where, for all the reasons, right? I mean, it's not like people don't want to get their flu shots, but maybe they can't afford it or, whatever it looks like. People just get sick, and you have more of this, seasonal flu stuff going around that is absolutely wipe you out. And I'm unfortunately, when I was in Maine this time, when I was coming back flying, I think is when I got it because people were coughing and, doing all the stuff you do when you're sick, and I couldn't avoid it. And I ended up, like I said, it was a few days after I got back. I was like, man, my throat feels kind of funny. And then, man, sinuses are acting up. And then I think I'm dying. And I couldn't breathe. It's like, oh no. And then then I lost my voice. And you guys heard me. I've been talking this whole time, so, and for my teams that I work with, I'm working with them remotely. I'm having to get on calls with them, and it's, I'm having to type out the stuff we're working on. Like, and it's like, ugh, it's so annoying. Because I was still, like I said, I was there. There was a couple days where I literally just got on, did a little bit of work, and then laid right back down and just was like, nah, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just gonna rest. But man, it was pretty bad. But anyways, enough of that. So again, for those that are just joining, welcome. Again, I am Ryan. We are working here in my greenhouse, and I'm currently transplanting my onions that got absolutely wrecked while I was sick. We had a power outage, and some of them didn't make it. They got pretty well roughed up. So I'm just moving them into a new space here, just kind of give them a new lease on life and start over with this one, because this has a cover for it that we're going to use. And I'm saying we're just kind of just cramming them all in where I can, making it work. The ones that can make it, the ones that can't, we are just kind of, sending them on their way. But so yeah, again, hopefully I earned your subscription day. I do constantly am here live in the greenhouse, out in the garden. A little cold out here. We got 2 feet of snowpack outside Michigan right now, so there's no garden work going on per se. but we're definitely definitely staying busy here. Always something to do in the greenhouse, something in preparation, because we are going to be producing calories starting pretty darn fresh right into April. We should be producing stuff that I can have out on the stand. Either be it beets, we'll have onions ready. Well, some onions will be ready, but mostly it'll be beets and other things like that. So let me get you in. What I'm going to do, we're going to cheat a little bit here. Got this here. Let's try to double this guy up. Now I have a whole new pack of fresh 10 by 20 containers here, which is going to be good for sure. We just kind of cover these guys up just a little bit. That's the thing with onions. They'll figure it out. The plants. Cover them up a little bit. It ain't going to hurt nobody, but I want to make sure I get as many of these roots covered. And once I add some water in here, it'll level off. They'll get their groove. There we go. It's going to look ugly, but again, this is simply just to hold down the fort until, we can get to, I put these guys over here. It's a good spot for them. Until we can get the ground, be able to work the ground and get these onions in the ground. So that's one of the things also, folks, when it comes to onions, that a lot of folks aren't aware of. When it comes to onions, I have to get more water. Goodness. When it comes to onions, they require, when they're growing, they require light. Like, okay, we know, Ryan, everything needs light. That's not what I mean. It's like onions, they're like a battery. They grow and they keep growing. It doesn't matter if they get a little bit of light one day or a lot of it the next day. There's a certain amount of light that they need cumulatively until they get ready to bolt and, start doing their thing. So starting them now, because a lot of these onions, they take a long time, especially here where I'm at in Michigan. We don't get a lot of light until, really until May. It really starts picking up where we get a lot of that light building up. And, we have a short season, so we got to start them early to get stuff going, okay? So that's one of the reasons with the onions, we kind of just start them early because they need that time. All right. So let's get this here. Yeah, my other set of onions here are definitely not doing well. These are the, which ones are those? Those are the long day onions, I believe. Yeah, so the ones we have down here, they're the burgundy onions. They're the short day onions. I got my long day onions. We're going to replant long day onions and kind of restart them. That's going to end up happening because I lost most of those. I'm not even going to try to salvage any of them. They are not making it, unfortunately, but that does happen. Okay. All right. So again, I've got my seed mix here. So what this is a mixture of cocoa coir, coconut husk, and potting soil, which is in here. All right, just do a nice little mix of this. That's kind of how I get stuff started. And probably tomorrow we're gonna have to mix up some more, kind of get that rolling to be a thing. But for today, again, one of the days that we have here, we're gonna work with what we have and other stuff we have here that just did not do well. But I think I saved a bunch of it. I got celery over here that I got started. This takes 120 days to even get ready to go into the garden. It takes a very long time to grow and get going. So I've got this stuff here, but most of this got ravaged. I got a couple beets we're gonna transplant just so I can save a few, just kind of have them growing. I do like fresh beets. But we're gonna now go find my onion seeds in here. I believe I have some. I'm hoping I have some in here. And we're gonna be starting up our onions, but I hope, fingers crossed, we'll see. I can't remember if I used them from this pack. If not, I'm gonna have to go buy some. But we'll get something started today. That spinach might get started today. I might start spinach in here if I don't have my onions. So I don't have garlic. And it's one of those things where I just look at from a space side of it. I buy the big pre-chopped things of garlic. Garlic takes takes up space, and it's pretty inexpensive. So I just gotta cheat on that one. But when it comes to onions and things like that, I like to have it fresh. And if you haven't had fresh onions, like fresh from your garden, you've never really tasted an onion before, because what we end up with, what we grow or what we have in the supermarkets, those are, they've been cured. So they have a different flavor profile than onions straight from the garden. It's a completely different flavor. So, you know what? Okay, got more Swiss chard for sure. I think I used the onions out of this pack. So, but yeah, it's just one of the ones I don't do. I've got folks around me that do. It's weird to say it that way. That do grow garlic, and we do trade from time to time. So, but it's just nothing I grow. So, let's see here. Well, I have options right now. I've got onion growing. I got scallions. Maybe I'll do radish. Actually, no, I'm gonna do my spinach. I want my spinach in here. I need to have stuff that's gonna be able to hold up in case I have another emergency. We're gonna get some spinach started in here, folks. So we're gonna look at the spinach pack, what it is here, and go over. We'll go over the actual packs, how they're set up here. But I highly recommend, if you've never picked up these multi packs before, Organo Republic are really good. I do a whole video where I go through the entire pack here. You can go find it on the channel where we kind of look through it. And I would recommend it. It's really just great. You get exposed to all sorts of vegetables and that you may never have tried before. So it's one of those things like, hey, I definitely recommend it if you haven't before. So all right, so let me do this. I'm going to smooth this out a little bit. Then we're going to come over and we're going to go through the actual spinach thing here, our spinach pack. Okay. All right, let me get on my old man glasses here so that I can read what we got going on. There we go. Oh, there you go, clear. So the spinach that we're going to be growing is Bloomsdale long-standing. So it's Spinacia oleracea. I guess that's Latin. So there's 300 seeds in here. So you can see that's what it looks like right there from Organo Republic. Now on the back here, and again, this is the best known practice on here, guys. We do this every time, and I recommend it. Even if you've grown something the same thing every year, the same way, always read what the seed company puts on their seeds. They're the specialists when it comes to these things. So we always just want to pay attention. All right, so this is excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. A popular heirloom spinach variety with dark green crinkled leaves that are tender and flavorful, reliable producer, and can be harvested as baby spinach or grown to full size. All right, when to start inside 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost date. Sow seeds 1/2 inch deep. All right, and we have a tool for that. We're gonna go over this tool here in a little bit, but 1/2 inch deep. See here in seed starting mix and keep them moist and warm until germination. And then outside, you're gonna direct sow seeds 1/2 inch deep in warm 70-degree soils. We're gonna talk about that. Rich, loose soil. Keep the soil most needs 6 hours of sun per day. Okay. Now on the back here, additionally, you'll see, right, they got this, but they have QR codes. You can see all those around here. And then they have on the cross the middle there, they have the pictures and words kind of describing how you to best set these up to germinate. Okay. So, and again, it's an online growing guide, which is great. But here they want moderate water, full or partial sun, 3 inches of spacing. So this is when they're going to be transplanted out there, right? Or we're going to move them into, what we're going to end up doing is once these guys grow to a certain spot, I'm going to then transplant them into here, basically into pints, so that they can grow up there, and then we can harvest them that way. While we're starting and growing everything else. Okay, so we get until I can get it and start working the soil, which should be around April. And like I said, I got tunnels that I'll have them in, as well as my poly tunnels, so we'll be able to protect them from frost for the most part. And I have a heater that I can just pop in there overnight if it's going to be too cold. So 3 inch spacing, 1/2 inch depth, and then 45 days to harvest. Now again, harvest is when they're transplanted. It's not when I put them into the soil. All right, so it's 45 days from transplant, which is these are transplanted once the first real leaves come out. So really what you're looking at is, I mean, to be honest, it's closer to 60 days. So it's 2 months to really be able to harvest these. Okay. And that's one of the things that they don't tell you about too. When they say 45 days to harvest, you think, oh, put it in the soil, 45 days. Nope. It's when they're ready to transplant. So this could be anywhere between, 2 weeks to germinate and then another week to get the real leaves. So it could be 3 weeks on top of that. Okay. Additionally, stuff they have on here. So they've got gardening tips as well. And then if you're having problems with the seeds, they actually have a link to support where you can go back to it. Okay. So Marshall, that's one to keep in mind with your tomatoes. Tomatoes are really big about that. Okay. Where they talk about you'll have your 110 days to harvest, 75 days on the hybrids. You're really talking closer to 100, add 25 days, a full month on top of that. Okay. And these are no different, especially this time of year as well, right? Where I'm not getting as much sun, everything's going to be extended out. All right, so let's take a look here. Spinach. Now, spinach, I tend to treat very much like it's the same way, like a lettuce, like a brassica. It's just kind of the way I've always done it. Is they're cold weather, right? And that's one of the things just to keep in mind, folks, is know when you're. Again, by the way, I got some new folks popping in here. My name's Ryan. Welcome, welcome here. We're in the greenhouse, just working, working on some plants here. Do me a favor if you haven't, hit that thumbs up button. And again, I hope to earn your subscription today. We're currently planting spinach, doing some spinach here. Okay, so we're gonna do this stuff a half inch down. Now, with this, I treat it like a lettuce or brassica, but obviously it's not. We're gonna take a look at the seeds here, give you guys a good look at them. All right, so you can see them here. This is kind of how they look like here. You get plenty of seeds with them, and they typically spinach germinates just fine and grows once you get it going. It's good stuff. It just does not like the heat. That's the thing to keep in mind with spinach. Okay, it does not like the heat. So I'm going to put these back in here real quick, and we're going to go over our strategy here. Okay, so what we're doing here, what I want to have here is when I start this stuff up, I like to do a bit of a grid. Okay. When I don't have them in their individual, I'm not doing any pods, or we are going to I'm going to do a video on our soil blocks, right? We're going to be soil blocks when we're doing stuff out in the polytunnel. So I have a whole video on this as well for making soil blocks. But when we are growing stuff here, in this, you still want to have a kind of a plan, because especially you want to make sure that you can get the seeds out of here, right? The plants out when it's time to transplant them. Like that's kind of the big deal. You just don't want to, many things you don't want to just scatter. Things that you can scatter and just kind of coat the whole cover. Onions, celery, those are the two big ones. Anything in your onions, anything in and celery for sure, just load the whole thing up, because you have no idea what's actually going to germinate, okay? And cold, what you have a pot of oregano and the cold. Oh yeah, yep, cold. Yep, oregano. So I have oregano in two spots. It's a perennial, so it's growing, living its best life out there. And then I have same thing. I've got some rosemary. It's a perennial as well too. But yeah, it's the same thing. You just got to be careful with them, 100%. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna treat this like a grid, okay? And what I'm gonna do is just kind of draw this down and really just try to set this up into as close as I can get to these rows, to where I've got about a little over an inch of spacing between them, right? I just kind of want to have a spot, because I'm going to do some rows, and then we're just going to come back along here and make it just another section here, okay? And this is simply just to help me guide the seeds as I'm popping them in, right? It doesn't have to be pretty, but we're going to go through the lines here. We're going to go basically down the lines and just do our best to kind of keep them spaced. So when we come through here and we got to be carving them out of here, it'll be a little bit easier to save them, for the transplant. All right, and we're going to use all of them here, because again, you can get spinach seeds for pretty cheap, but I'm going to have this. So again, these need to be a ½ inch for planting. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to put these in here. We're going to come over the top with more of our potting soil. Okay, so that's the idea why we started the way we did. And I'm basically about every inch or so, I'm just going to be dropping along the line here more seeds. Now, again, for those that are just joining, one of the things I have streams that I do in the evening as well, where I actually bring out, and I have an overhead camera that will be watching while I'm doing this stuff. Because right now you're like, okay, Ryan, I can't really see what's going on. Well, today I do a lot of stuff, on the mobile here, but I do actually stream. I guess it'd be the horizontal piece there. I bring out my whole streaming kit, and we do overhead, so you guys can watch as I'm thinning out stuff. And that will be more and more common as we get to, as we get into April, into May, and we're getting into, well, more of the good stuff that's going on out there. But the big thing on this, folks, is I just tell everybody, if you want to get started, the biggest thing when it goes to growing and getting started with your vegetables, right? And say, man, Ryan, I really want to get started growing vegetables. Like, cool. We love that for you. Just start. So I tell everybody, just start, get some soil, get some seeds, and get it started. As I like to say, our gateway drug, gateway seed is always going to be tomatoes. We all love them. They're easy to grow. They're a simple fruit to grow. So what I would just recommend for all of you is if you have a patio with some sun, get yourself a small pot, get some seeds, and just kind of get started. Get your hands in some dirt. Let's all grow calories. That's the goal of this entire channel, is helping people be able to come out here, ask questions, and feel comfortable about growing calories in whatever way that they can. We all need access to more fresh produce. And I remember here in Michigan, I was in Maine at the time, but here in Michigan, they went during when COVID hit, and people were stuck at the house, and they basically shut down people's ability to put a couple there. There we go. Put a couple extra there. There we go. Be able to get seeds at the like the big box stores. They didn't allow access, because like for all the reasons, right? And I remember when that happened. Oh, hey, we'll see you. Okay, no worries, Marshall. Have a good day. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to hit the notification bell, when I come back live out here as well. So it's good to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. But anyways, so folks who wanted to get started growing their vegetables, doing stuff, they weren't able to get into it, right? And that's just something you don't want to have, and so that's why I tell folks, hey, let's be available. Let's make it a thing where we're always prepared and we're always just kind of available to grow our, grow some calories. Okay. That's what we want to be doing. All right. So with this, these need to be a 1/2 inch down. So what I'm doing is basically just coming over and covering them with pre-moistened basically my seed starting mix. Cool. Great. Good. We'll see you next stream, Marshall. Thanks for swinging by. Have fun at work if you can. I was actually writing code this morning before I had to go to the grocery store, doing a little work for my company. But so it's a big thing what we're doing here. We want people just to be able to just enjoy themselves, have a good time with their, but grow calories. Super, super important. Okay. So let's talk about what's next on our thing here, because we're not done with this yet. We're going to transplant a couple beets here. I do have a couple beets that are hanging on that survived, so we're going to transplant them. But let's talk about this here. All right, so this, you can get this pack, again, these seed trays, you can get this set here from Amazon. All right, and they're 10 by, I think it's 10 by 20 is what they are. And if I remember correctly, 10 by 20, 10 by 15. But what I love about them is they come with these little vents on the top here, right? Especially here when I never know when the sun's going to peek out. But so it gives them the protection that they need, right? So we're going to be able to keep them warm and just kind of do their thing here. And then we can also just maintain the humidity where we want. So like when I start, I want this closed so all the humidity stays in here, okay? So this is our spinach, and we're going to drop this right here, as a matter of fact. We're going to pop it right here. Celery can just come down here and live their best life, and we're going to plug this guy back in. So these are going to go here. You can see I've got my my grow lights here, and I already have set up here a warming mat, right? So you need a this is a 10 by 20 seed heat mat. Basically, what this does is it's going to keep all the soil here. It's going to keep it at 70 degrees, right? And this needs to be, or 70 or higher. It's usually between 70 and 80 degrees. So it's going to keep this nice and warm so it'll germinate. Now, once they germinate, we can take them off the heat. It doesn't need to be on the heat anymore. So the seed mats are simply just there to keep them, to get everybody to germinate, and then we can take the heat off. And then as long as it stays above freezing, everything's good, right? So that's what we're going to have here. So here's our spinach. Going to pop it here, and I just kind of keep it under the light and just let it do its thing. There's different theories about all that stuff, but and I have them on a timer. They turn on and off, but like for right now, they're on. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do some transplanting here of these, just a couple beets that I have going on right now, and these are Detroit Burgundies. That's the name for the beets. They're the ones that that you typically see around your like the grocery stores, the big box stores. And unfortunately, most of my beets died in that when the cold hit. So that's a bummer. That's a bummer for me. Where did that was that these? No, I had two that I just emptied. Where did they go? Oh, here we go. Here, we're gonna use these guys. They were just used. So I need 3. Let's grab this one. Nope. Grab this one here. There we go. There we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. So we got these 3. So we're gonna transplant some of these beets, and you'll just see here. everybody got devastated. I ripped out the ones that weren't there, but I got 3 that are still barely holding on. So we're going to try to save them. We'll see how they do. Typically beets, they can be transplanted, but man, they ain't the happiest about it. Like it's at this level, but we're going to give it a shot and see if I can save them. Okay. Because I do like beets. My wife likes beets, and you know, they've done their part. You know, it's just that we had this cold come through and absolutely just destroyed everybody. Again, welcome everybody. Good to have folks on here. My name is Ryan. We're here in northern Michigan, just working in my greenhouse. Like I said, we're currently transplanting and trying to save our cold weather plants that did survive through the cold snap. Okay. Oop. All right, so I got this guy here. We're going to try this here. Now, this is pre-moistened soil here. So hopefully everybody, they're going to be just fine. I'm going to get this out, and I'm going to get them under some direct light, and just kind of hopefully this will bring them back. You know what I mean? So you can see here. So there's our beets. And again, these are Detroit. They're the Detroit Red is what they are. Beets. That's what they are. And they typically do okay. I'm going to be growing a bunch of these this year. I'm going to can a bunch of beets. My wife, I discovered she really likes beets, so we're going to be growing a bunch of those. And then my neighbors, they've been asking for them, so we're going to get them going. Oh, man, it's been a day today, though. All right, so let's get this going. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm probably going to have to separate these 2 out, unfortunately. Okay, good. Okay, so let's take a look here at this here. This is a good education piece for everybody on here. So you see, these are the root structure for that beet, right? It's still just a seedling doing its thing, but you got the taproot that's down there, right? Do you see how all the soil is sticking to that? This is why we love plants, why we want to have plants in the soil. And it's not just that the fine hairs are grabbing onto there. What the roots do is they actually exude like a glue, like a little cement type stuff that they put into the soil that helps stick the soil to it, right? And what ends up happening is that creates a little area where all of the bacteria, like the good bacteria, the stuff that we love, is that hangs out at. All right, and that's the little home that all the bacteria is in, that is doing the work of pulling the nutrients out of the soil and transferring it to the plant, and the plant is giving the microbes sugar in return. Like that's their agreement, right? So we're going to take one more look at it here, but that's what's going on. That's why we love to have stuff in the soil, because one, that cement is helping to keep all of our soil set up, but it's also keeping that microbiome healthy. It's super important that we've got that microbiome going. And that's one of the things that people don't think about, what you have there. So that's why we always want to make sure that you either have plants in the soil or you have your soil covered, because we got one more beet there. All those microbes right there, right? What ends up happening if you don't have the plants in there, right? They're helping to keep the soil in the one spot. It also helps water from wicking away being a problem. The other side too is that you're getting it's again wicking the water away, and there's UV happens, all sorts of badness. But also this is also providing organic matter in the soil, which allows oxygen to get in there and drainage and all the good stuff, folks. So that's what I said. We always want to make sure we have something in the ground, something growing at all times, because it will help the plants grow. Now these guys look a little roached right now, but they will come around. I'm not worried about that. They're going to come around and just be fine. Good stuff. And I got one little guy here that seems like it's doing its thing. It's actually got leaves coming out. So we're going to try to transplant one more. We're going to see if we can save this one. Let's try to save one more. Oh, man, it's been good to get back out here streaming, folks. It's been, like I was saying, it was a rough couple weeks when I couldn't stream when I had the flu. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad. But we're in a good spot now. Yeah, this guy, we'll see. I don't know. But we'll see. Okay, so got them in there, but I do see it does have a true leaves in the middle. You see those green ones coming out there. So it's a good possibility we'll be able to get a salvage on this one. We will see. We will see. Okay. So this stuff here can all just get tossed back in. And I recycle as much of my seed starting soil as I can as well. All right, folks. Well, that's where we're at for today. I'm going to go ahead and call it. And I was saying it's been a while since I streamed. I can feel my voice getting kind of roached here. So appreciate everybody who's hung out this long. Thank you so much. My name's Ryan. Again, I'll be back out here tomorrow. Take care. We'll see you next time.